joined by Raymond Arroyo of Fox News, and he comes to us from Rome itself, where we know the next pope is being chosen by the Conclave. Raymond, great to have you back on the program.
Oh, always a joy being with you guys. Thanks for having me. It's anything to get away from the traffic here.
Oh, yeah, well, we're sorry to take you away from some delicious gnocchi, and I'm sure a cappuccino with perfect froth. But
yes,
what is going on here with the whole process to choose the next pope, the leader of the Catholic flock? Take us into everything you're finding out, everything that's going on, because a lot of people, I'm just going to say this, Raymond, even some of the Catholics listening, don't know that much about the process itself and what's going on here.
Well, it's a mysterious process, and that's part of the fun. And look, for non-Catholics, I said this morning during our live coverage at Fox, this is the root of Christianity. Whether you're Lutheran, Episcopalian, Evangelical, or Catholic, the fact is, if you believe in Jesus Christ, the Mass that these cardinals held today was right over the tomb of St. Peter, which in the 50s they dug up the basement of St. Peter's and found, first of all, there's another church down there. There's a 3rd century Constantine basilica beneath it. And then beneath that is a graveyard, like an above-ground cemetery like we have in New Orleans. And they found the bones of St. Peter there. So it is upon the bones of St. Peter where the Mass was held today to choose the successor of St. Peter 2,000-plus years later. I mean, it's a kind of incredible thing when you step back and look at it. So 133 men from something like 80 different countries went into this conclave just this afternoon here in Rome a few hours ago. And this is an ancient tradition. And the beautiful thing about Christianity is all through the ages, through the millennia, all these little rituals are picked up in traditions, practices, and devotions. And the Catholic Church has a wonderful way of kind of preserving them and pushing them into the future. The conclave practice, this all started because in about 1274, they couldn't elect a pope. It took them, the conclave was dragging on for 3 years. They couldn't make a decision. So I think it was Pope Gregory X decided to lock the cardinals in a private place with no contact with the outside world, deprive them all of that gnocchi and cappuccino you mentioned earlier, no food for them, and kind of made them uncomfortable so they would come to a decision. And they did. So that became the new rule of electing a pope. You went into seclusion. It was kind of like a retreat. It was Spartan, and it kind of forced them to focus on the thing at hand. That's what we're watching now. 133 cardinals are going to choose one of their own, but it could be any baptized Catholic male, to be the Pope. And they're in the Sistine Chapel now. In fact, we're expecting smoke any minute now. My guess is first ballot is usually black, meaning you don't have a Pope. White smoke you probably won't see until Friday at the earliest, though I think it could drag on longer.
Yeah, that's the question I was going to ask you, Raymond, and thank you for joining us from the Vatican City as the Pope is being selected. What is the expectation? You said Friday you think we'll know. How does the vote process take place? I think they're doing one, what is it, about 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., I guess, in Rome right now.
Yeah, 4 o'clock they did the vote. Mm-hmm.
They're doing one this afternoon, and then how will it work? There's a vote every morning or multiple votes every morning and every afternoon going forward? What should we expect, assuming they don't pick one now?
Yeah, they only do one vote on the first day of conclave. They went in, they prayed, they all did their oaths, they sat down, got to kind of know the process, took a vote around 4 o'clock. They're counting it. They have 6 people that count the vote, Clay, which is unbelievable. 3 of them scrutinize it, make sure the vote's authentic, nobody forged the signature or dropped too many votes in. Then the other guys double-check it, and then it's read. It's read aloud. So you can imagine how long that takes with 133 people. But at 7:30, they start lighting up the stoves. They take those ballots, burn them, and that's where the black or the white smoke comes. Tomorrow, in the days that succeed, there'll be 2 votes in the morning, 2 votes in the evening, in the afternoon. So you'll get 2 smokestacks going up to indicate whether or not they've come to a decision. But when you've got 133 guys who don't know each other, you see, cardinals used to meet every year. The College of Cardinals would meet. Pope Francis, 10 years ago, had a conference on the family where he wanted to do some wacky things, and the cardinals started talking back to him. He didn't like that, so he canceled the annual meeting of the College of Cardinals. They haven't met in 10 years, and he appointed 108 of the 133 men in this conclave. So They literally don't know each other, haven't met each other, and they don't know each other's concerns. So the last week or so, 12 days, has been about getting to know each other and figuring out what they believe is the next step for the church. And it's a battle. Some want to continue the Francis line, which is more progressive, focused on kind of loosening the bounds of the doctrine, dispensing with the things of the past. And then you have the other block that wants tradition, a return to eternal values, back to basics, and get rid of some of the chaos and the lack of clarity we've seen over the last 12 years. And we'll see who comes out the winner here. But that's the battle.
That's where I wanted to go next with you, Raymond. We're speaking to Raymond Arroyo from Fox News. He is in Rome right now covering the conclave very closely, and we're going to be finding out about a new pope here. You said what, by Friday probably? So
Friday,
couple
maybe
of more days.
Yeah, if it goes to Saturday, we're in trouble because that's a day of pause in the Constitution. If you do 3 days of voting and you don't have a pope, they have to pause for a day and pray and meditate, which means voting would resume on Sunday. I hope that's not the case because I'm leaving on Sunday. I'll watch him from New York.
I was going to say, I mean, it could be, you could be on the India-Pakistan border or something right now, right? I mean, tough. It's not such tough duty. You're going to be on a Vespa. You're going to be seeing the sights. It'd be very nice. But tell me this.
Loren and me.
Some of the top options that are being discussed. I hear a lot about a Cardinal Sarah. Tell me some of the top contenders right now. And, you got into this a little bit, but what some of the different directions would be based upon who some of those top candidates are for the church.
I have a podcast, and we've been doing this every day, daily reports. It's Arroyo Grande show on YouTube. And I have this conclave crew, and it's a priest and a historian, and the three of us kind of go through all the gossip we heard that day and the candidates. So that's at Arroyo Grande show on YouTube. And some of the people we discussed, there's a Cardinal Tagle from the Philippines. He's kind of an Asian Pope Francis, happier, more buoyant, but he's the same line. He believes that Vatican II, the more modern approach, is the way to go, and that we should loosen some of these the moral bonds on whether it be marriage or the LGBT community. He'd like to see a more open approach. You have a Cardinal Parolin. Now, this guy is the Secretary of State at the Vatican. He's the guy who drafted the China deal, the hidden China-Vatican deal, which literally handed faithful Catholics, and not only Catholics, Bible churches, tons of people over, faithful people, to the Chi-Coms. They rounded them up. They've shut down churches. The Vatican, why they got into this deal, no one can figure. They also allowed the Chinese to choose their bishops, two of which they appointed after the Pope died. Okay, so Cardinal Parolin is a guy with a lot of clouds over his record. That will probably damn his candidacy. He's also involved in a lot of financial chicanery here. A $400 million land deal that went belly up in London. So he will probably not make it out of the gate, but he's the number one liberal candidate, if you will, the progressive candidate to continue Francis's legacy. On the other side, Cardinal Robert Sarah, who you mentioned, a priest from Nigeria, an incredible man. Both of his parents were converts, an African cardinal who headed up the liturgy office at the Holy See, and got into problems with Pope Francis over the old Latin Mass, which Francis outlawed. Cardinal Robert Sarah did not want that to happen, so Francis booted him out. He's a huge favorite of the more traditional cardinals. I think, though, at the end of the day, you need somebody who can both reform this bureaucracy, clean up the financial problems. The church is broke here. That's the reality. And revive the faith in a winning way. I keep looking at a man I know. I've known him for 25 years. Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa. Try saying that 4 times fast. Pizzaballa is the Jerusalem Patriarch. He's a Franciscan. He's lived in the Holy Land for 35 years. A sturdy man from the farming country in northern Italy, but a prayerful man who believes the Word of God should be the center of our lives. And he's cleaned up all the financial problems there and navigated this landmine of Israel and the Palestinians. And when Hamas took those hostages, he offered his life in exchange for the hostages. That will, I think, tip the balance for him if they need a compromise candidate. It's kind of like Trump getting shot in Butler. That was the end of the campaign. I feel that way about Pizzaballa as well.
All right, so this is maybe going to damn me to eternal flames
Uh-oh.
here,
Be
but
careful.
you can bet on who the next pope is going to be. And Raymond, I don't know if you've paid attention to this, but
Well, I
here
can't.
are
For
you just
Catholics,
mentioned.
it's excommunicable. We can't do it, but others can, but we can't. It's literally an excommunicable crime if you bet on the papacy. Do you know that?
Oh,
Wait,
no,
are you
I had
serious?
no idea. Really?
Clay was trying
I'm
to get
dead
me
serious.
excommunicated, Raymond. He wanted me to be a heathen.
All right,
Don't
well,
do it,
then
my
you
friend. I'm
guys.
saving you. I'm here to save you.
I'm not Catholic, so I can't be excommunicated here. So I'm going to tell
That's
you the
okay.
favorites according
The
to the
apostles weren't
gambling
Catholic
markets.
at one time either, Clay. There's still time.
There's still time. Okay, well, then I might be ending that forever now. The Southern Baptists can be happy because I'm shutting the door on being Catholic. Here are the four favorites according to Polymarket right now.
Mm-hmm.
Pietro Parolin, and I'm probably going to mispronounce the names, but
That's
you
the
said
Secretary
you
of
thought
State I
he
just
was.
talked about.
Yeah, you hit three of these names. That's what I was impressed
Yeah.
by. It says that you think he's got too many scandals in his background.
You bet.
Tagle or Tagla,
Tagle.
19 point. Yep, Tagle.
That's the Filipino.
You mentioned Pizza Bella, who was the individual you were just talking about. He's the fourth
Where is
most
he?
likely. The only one you didn't mention, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Matteo Zuppi or Zuppi. What do you know about him, if anything? He's third most likely.
Matteo Zuppi is an Italian cardinal, very much in line with the Pope Francis vision of things. He's a liberal. He's been very open to the LGBT community. Look, Clay, when you have young people, we just saw this at Easter, and Buck will back me up on this. Young people are flooding into the Catholic Church, not only Catholic Church, other communities too, but particularly the Catholic Church, and it's young men because they've found their way into the faith through the internet and reading, and they're looking for something eternal, ancient, the truth of Christ and the gospel. I don't think you're going to get that from a guy like Zuppi or Tagle, who are basically pushing a line that we just have to be more like the world and less like the apostles. You want an apostle. So my guess is if I were a betting man, and I'm not because I don't want to get excommunicated, I would put my money on somebody like Pizzaballa because I think both the right and the left candidates are going to go down and they're going to need a compromise. And that guy's story is so compelling, I think it might just win the day.
Outstanding stuff, Raymond, for coming right to us from the Vatican City. If there are immediate results or something like that, don't hesitate to call us back in. If you were there in the Vatican City to report live, we'd love to have you on next couple of days if that happens.
Yep, call me anytime. I'm here. I'll be smokestack watching until I hope Friday, and then we can all go home.
Excellent. Enjoy some pasta for us. And Clay, you know, my dad is an Anglican. So I'm actually split by parentage. So he's an Anglican, like Church of England type, and or you know, Episcopalian. I think it's the same thing.
Isn't that basically? And I'm going to probably get religious people off fire
gosh.
right now. Isn't that basically just when Henry VIII decided that he wanted to get married and they split the Church of England from the Catholic faith? Isn't that basically the existence of that faith?
Yes, that is the history. That is the history of the Church of England. Is Henry VIII. Not a great guy. Wanted to get remarried again. Definitely beheaded a wife. Not a good dude. So
that is the founding history of the Church of England. That's what I thought. Just wanted to make
sure. Which now that low IQ, pretentious weirdo, what's his name? King Charles is the head of. He's the head of the Church of England.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the Church of England is always headed by the king because the king wanted to marry a new woman and decided that he needed to leave the Catholic faith. That's right. I've got the religious background there, I think.
Yeah. So all the angry Episcopalians, but honestly, you're not going to be angry about this. You could send your ire at Clay
for just talking about the historical record. But that was cool. Raymond Arroyo, right from the Vatican City, as we wait to see who the next pope is going to be. And you found out that I've now been excommunicated from the Catholic faith because I shared the latest gambling odds on the pope. And it was interesting that Raymond had broken down three of them as the potential likely popes.
You're like the Beelzebub of the Clay and Buck show, you know, tempting our audience to place wagers that would damn them for eternity, Clay.
Well, I'll be honest. You know, the Southern Baptists believe that basically you can be forgiven for anything. So yeah, we'll turn. You know, you ask for forgiveness, you get it. President Trump, remember Bill Clinton, big Southern Baptist. President Trump, a lot of forgiveness there. President Trump didn't say it first, but he said it loudest. His words were something to the effect of Obamacare sucks. And that is the reality when it comes to our friends at Ease Total Health. And I talked about them a little bit earlier because I changed the order in which I was going to do these ads. So I'm going to subtly make the incredible switch right now and tell you, speaking of Pope odds, my friends at Prize Picks will get you hooked up and get you taken care of all over the country, California, Texas, Georgia. They don't have Pope odds up anywhere. You can't play the Pope on Prize Picks, but you can play Major League Baseball, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA. Basically, you could do the Kentucky Derby, any sport that you love. Kentucky Derby, tying this all in, the sport of kings, they used to say horse racing was. You can get hooked up right now with Prize Picks. You can make up to 2,000 times your cash. A week ago, it was only 1,000 times, but they are getting hooked up. They're going to allow you 2 to 6 player projections. Get hooked up right now. NBA, NHL playoffs underway. Bucks beloved, the New York Knicks up 1-0 on the Celtics. There's game 2, I believe, taking place tonight. And you can get hooked up. NHL playoffs underway as well. Download the app today. Use my name, Clay, as the code for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Clay, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks.com, code Clay, Texas, California, Georgia, 40-ish states nationwide, 13 million people playing along. Join the team, PrizePicks.com, code